Hello, friends. I'm Bob Dyer, Director of Biblical Worldview at Trinity Christian Academy in Addison, Texas. Welcome back to the Christian Educators Hub and our series, Foundations of a Biblical Worldview. Today, I'm going to talk about creation. Now, let me be clear. If you get creation wrong, everything else begins to shift. Not always immediately, not always obviously, but over time, inevitably, everything begins to drift. Because creation isn't just the beginning of the Bible, it's the foundation for how we understand everything: truth, meaning, purpose, identity, and even knowledge itself. If we look at Genesis 1:1, it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." It's simple, direct, and foundational. But don't let the familiarity of that verse cause us to miss its weight. This verse is making a massive claim. Before anything existed, God was. The word created here is the Hebrew word bara, and that matters because bara is used exclusively of God in the Old Testament. It's never used of human beings. It means to bring something into existence that didn't previously exist. So this is not God shaping pre-existing material. This is God speaking reality into existence. And that means God is not part of creation. He's not within it. He's not subject to it. He stands above it as creator. And so once we understand that, everything else begins to come into focus. Because if God is creator, then truth isn't something that we invent. It's something we discover. The truth exists outside of us because it originates in Him. And this stands in direct contrast to what our students are being taught culturally, and that truth is personal, it's flexible, and self-defined. But Scripture doesn't leave room for that. Truth is grounded in the character of God. Colossians 1:16 and 17 reinforces this by saying, "For by him all things were created in heaven and on earth. All things were created through him and for him. And he's before all things, and in him all things hold together." So notice the scope of that statement. All things were created through him. All things exist for him, and all things are held together by him. That means creation is not random. It's not accidental. It's not chaotic at its core. It's purposeful. It's ordered, and it's sustained. And this is where this becomes incredibly practical for us as educators. The reason learning is even possible is because the world is ordered. I mean, think about that. If the universe were truly random, science wouldn't work. If there were no consistency, math wouldn't function. And if reality were constantly shifting, knowledge would be impossible. But that's not the world we live in. We live in a world where patterns repeat, where laws hold, where truth can be known. Why? Because the same God who created the world sustains it. Psalm 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork." Creation, it's not silent. It's constantly communicating. It's revealing something about the one who made it. The order we see reflects his order. The beauty we see reflects his beauty. And the consistency we rely on reflects his faithfulness. Now let's bring this into the classroom, because this is where this often gets reduced to something too small. Math is not just numbers and formulas. It reflects precision, consistency, and order. And science isn't just observation and experimentation. It reveals a world that is structured, predictable, and intelligible. Literature, it's not just storytelling. It reflects the human condition, longing, brokenness, hope, and that brings us to one of the most important truths in all of Scripture. So God created man in his own image, Genesis 1:27. That means every student sitting in your classroom carries inherent dignity, not because of performance, not because of achievement, not because of potential, but because they are image bearers of God. And if we miss that, we'll treat education as something far less than it is. We'll reduce it to content delivery, performance metrics, academic outcomes, instead of recognizing what's actually happening. We are engaging minds that were designed by God in a world created by God to understand truth that comes from God. So here's the shift that we have to make. We stop seeing our subject as isolated, and we begin seeing it as revealing. Every subject is telling the truth about something. The question is, are we helping students see what it's actually revealing? So ask yourself, what does my subject reveal about God? Where do I see order? Where do I see beauty? Where do I see purpose? And just as important, where have I unintentionally treated my subject as if it were neutral or disconnected from Him? So here's the bottom line. If God made it, it means something. And if it means something, it points back to Him. Creation isn't just the beginning of the story. It's the reason anything makes sense at all.